Hi everyone. So probably the most common complaint that I get from mums is back pain. After pregnancy, having put a lot of strain on our backs and all of our connective tissue getting all loosey-goosey, and then going through birth and then spending so much time in the postpartum period in funky positions, breastfeeding, bottle feeding, hunched over, holding a baby, our backs take a lot of strain and sometimes get really tight and achy. I talk a lot about how addressing back pain long term involves mobility and then strengthening your back and your bum. It's a lot less about strengthening the core. That's a bit of a myth of the fitness industry. Well, not so much a myth as something that we believe to be true in like the 1980s, 1990s, and then further research showed that that wasn't so much the case. Sometimes when we have bad back pain, we get into a bit of a cycle of being in awkward positions for a lot of the time, then being in pain, then being scared to move, then not moving, and then the inactivity makes it worse and keeps us going in this cycle. So the first thing that we need to do is kind of break that cycle and just get a little bit of movement going. Our backs and our bodies like movement. They don't like to be still and stiff. So often our response to pain is to kind of stiffen up, tighten up and not move. And that's sometimes the worst thing that we can do. So I put together this little mobility routine that's just going to help you start loosening your back up, just starting to help you move through gentle ranges of motion, just starting to get a little bit of movement in your spine and pelvis. I'll post a back and bum strengthening routine, but I've got loads of videos on back and bum strengthening exercises, so feel free to use those. Let's get you started just moving a little bit to help you relieve that back pain right now. First thing we're going to do is we're going to come into a lying position and we're going to have a little look at our breathing. So lying on your back, have your feet wide apart and you can just let your knees fall together. Put your hand on your belly and one hand on your lower rib cage, and we're just going to try and get some diaphragmatic breathing going. So taking a nice big breath into both of those hands and letting it go, okay? So the in-breath is active. Nice big breath into that lower belly and into that lower rib cage, feeling everything expand 360 degrees all the way around here, and then the out breath is passive, just letting it go. So we're going to do a few more breaths here and just relax. So nice big active breath in, and what we're trying to do is avoid, you can put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, and we're trying to avoid the extremes of chest breathing right up into here and nothing moving in your belly, or just a big belly breath. Okay, we want to kind of get a nice balanced breath going with a nice diaphragmatic breath, everything moving into the belly, and then as we breathe out, letting all that relax back up and in. And just one little technique that I like to do is just tuck your fingers under your rib cage. See if you can get your fingers under it. I've got a longer video on this that I'll link into the description. But just get your fingers under your rib cage and see if you can just feel that nice and soft there, just showing you that your upper abs and your diaphragm's nice and relaxed. Take a big breath into the belly and lower rib cage. Feel that diaphragm descend, and then as you breathe out, feel that diaphragm go back up and in, okay? If you're feeling any tension there, that's definitely something that you want to address, because that can be a source of back pain. So go and check out my longer video on diaphragmatic breathing for that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is just take our knees a little bit wider apart, and we're just going to get some movement going in the pelvis. So you might already feel a little bit uncomfortable lying on your back like this. So what we're going to do is just tuck our pelvis, just do these little pelvic tilts, and then untuck our pelvis as far as we can, that way arching our back. Okay, so just tucking your pelvis and untucking it. Okay, so just back and forward, trying to press your back into the floor, then untucking your pelvis, arching the back as wide as you can, tucking your pelvis, squeezing your bum just a little bit, but you're not doing a glute bridge. and then untucking the pelvis, arching the back, just getting a little bit of movement going as you start to get a little bit more comfortable with that movement. Just going a little bit further. Okay, trying to go as far as you can each way. I'm kind of tucking my pelvis as far as I can, but I'm not sort of doing a glute bridge. I'm just tucking it as far as I can. That means my bum lifts off the floor a little bit. Okay, we're going to come into a cat-cow. So on all fours, feet under or knees under your hips and hands under your shoulders. And from here, we're just going to arch the back a little bit and tuck the bum. Okay, round the back. Okay, if you've got a really sore back, you might be really stiff here and only be able to go a little bit. But as you start to get warm and all that spine and pelvis starts to get more mobile, you might be able to go just a little bit further. Okay, so just going a little bit further if you can. Going to the limits of your mobility, and not going past 3 out of 10 in terms of pain. Okay, if you're sort of here and you're starting to feel your back hurting, then just stop there and go back into rounding your back. Okay, so a few breaths here. Okay, breathing in as you lift up, drop the belly, and then as you breathe out, squeezing the bum, tucking the pelvis and pulling the belly in just a little bit. Breathing in, lifting the head, tuck everything under and pull the belly in just a little bit. One more time. Nice big breath in, breathing out. Cool. We're going to come up into standing. Okay, and from standing, we're going to do a roll down. So standing nice and straight, which means rib cage over the pelvis. You don't have to stand up like this in this military position, but a lot of us will be kind of slumped over like this a lot of the time. There's nothing wrong with that. But when we're doing exercise, and this counts as exercise, just finding that neutral position. And from here, we're just going to tuck our chin to our chest, and then just roll down one vertebrae at a time. Really feel that stretch at the back of your neck, spread down a little bit down your back, and then a little bit further and a little bit further. Okay, and then you're going to roll down as far as you can. Maybe you're stuck here, that's fine. Maybe you're stuck up here, that's also fine too. Just let your head be a little bit heavy and then rolling back up the other way. Rolling back up to the top. Shoulders and then head last. Okay, we're going to do that a few more times. Tuck the chin, roll one vertebrae at a time, down as far as you can go. Maybe you can go a millimeter further this time. Then you're going to squeeze your bum, tuck your pelvis and roll back up the other way. Okay, tuck your chin, roll down one vertebrae at a time. Feel that stretch moving down your spine. Let your hands be heavy, head be heavy. Feel the stretch wherever it is down your back. Really focus on that stretch. Maybe you'll get far enough that you'll feel the stretch down the back of your legs, down your hamstrings. Maybe you'll go an extra millimeter this time. Maybe you'll touch the floor. And then we're going to go back up the other way, squeezing the bum, tucking the pelvis, rolling back up one vertebrae at a time, hands and head heavy, and then shoulders at the top, and then head. We're going to do that one more time, a little bit faster. Head down one vertebrae at a time. Feel that stretch going all the way down your spine as far as you can. See if you can go a millimeter further this time. Just relax here at the bottom for a couple of seconds. Hold on to your elbows, hang down heavy. And then we're going to go back up the other way, squeeze your bum, touch your pelvis, roll up one vertebrae at a time. Okay, you don't have to go all the way down to the floor. If you're stuck higher up, that's totally fine. Stop wherever you feel the stretch. Now we're going to do some pelvic tilts. So standing with your feet hip width apart. We're just going to do similar to what we did lying down on the floor, just in a different position now. I want you to, first of all, stick your bum out and arch your back, and then you're going to tuck your bum under and flatten that back around the back. Okay, it's kind of like doing a cat-cow, but standing now. Okay, sticking your bum out. Imagine your pelvis is a glass of wine and you're tipping wine out the front of that wine glass, and then and then you're going to tuck your bum under and tip wine out of the back of the wine glass. Okay, we're just going to go back and forth, moving the pelvis. You're going to need your knees bent just a little bit, and the spine, the lower back's going to go with it. Some of us will find it really hard to arch our lower back like this. That's fine. You just stop wherever you can. But thinking about that pelvis as a wine glass and tucking, pouring wine out the front and then out the back. Okay, just going back and forth. Okay. Just a few more times, letting that wine pour out the front and tucking your bum under, pouring wine out the back. Having this pelvis control is really difficult for a lot of women, and it's really, really important for lots of things in the body, but it can really help ease back pain. Okay, last one. Awesome. Okay, now we're going to try and go into a deep squat. Deep squat looks like this. Okay, you're going to get your feet about shoulder width apart and sit down into this deep squat. Now, a lot of you aren't going to be able to do this, or you're going to feel super stiff doing this. So what you're going to do if you're really struggling with it is hold on to, I've got my wall here, but you hold on to anything that's not going to move. You could use the side of your sofa, you could use a heavy table, and just dip down into this deep squat and just wiggle around there a little bit. Okay? So you might be stuck up here, and that's totally fine. You might not be able to get any further. What we're going to do, or you might be all the way down here. Either is totally fine. Go to your end range of motion. We're going to improve that. What you're going to do then is straighten your legs up, stick your bum up in the air, and flop forward and do a forward bend. Again, you might be down here where I am. You might be stuck up here. Wherever your end range of motion is, we're now going to go back and forth between those two positions. Okay, back down into the squat, holding on to something if you need to. Keep those heels on the floor. Don't lift your heels up to get lower down. You're going to go as low as you can, and then bum up in the air, and straighten those legs out and feel that stretch wherever you feel it. Okay, so for some of you it's going to look like this. Okay, you're going to be stuck here, and then you're going to be stuck over here. Try and go a millimetre further each time. We're going to do that about 10 times. And for those of you who can get down into a deep squat, it's going to look like this. Okay, both your heels on the floor. You're going to feel a big stretch on your inner thighs, on your lower back. And then we're going to put our hands on the floor, stick our bums up in the air and stretch out. Again, just because you can get into a deep squat doesn't mean you'll be able to touch the floor here. Knees straight and just get to wherever you can go. Back down into that deep squat. Back up. And back down. Just going to go back and forth between these two. Let your head hang heavy. Feel that stretch down the back of your legs and then your lower back. Back down into the deep squat. Back and forth. Okay, we're going to do that 2 more times. Back down into that squat. Make sure you're pushing your knees out over the toes. Bum up in the air. Straighten those legs out. Okay, now we're going to come back down onto the floor, and for our last exercise we're going to do a glute bridge. This isn't actually a mobility exercise, this is a strength exercise for the glutes, for the bum. And we're going to have our feet about shoulder width apart, and you're going to lift your hips up and squeeze your bum at the top. For some of you, again, this might hurt your back a little bit, so you're just going to go to wherever you can, and you're trying not to overarch the back, because that's definitely going to make you feel it in your back. So a nice squeeze on that bum, tucking the bum a little bit if you need, and trying to fully extend those hips. Okay? Get those knees out over the toes. Don't let them fall in. Don't have your feet together. This is not a great way of doing a glute bridge. You won't feel your glutes, you won't feel your bum, you'll feel this more, and you'll probably feel your back a bit more. So get those feet wider and try and extend all the way up. Okay, I'm going to do just 5 more of those. And if it's too much for your back, just stop and do something that stretches it out. Okay, 2 more. Last one. Okay, awesome. Okay guys, I hope you found that helpful. There are obviously lots more exercises that can help you mobilize your back, and there are loads of exercises that can help you strengthen your back and strengthen your bum, which helps support your back. This is just a small selection, a short routine that I know has helped loads of my trainees and can just help ease the pain when it's really, really firing up, when it's really acute. Let me know if this was helpful, and I'll make another sequence that can help you ease back pain and mobilize the back, the spine, the pelvis. And don't forget to strengthen your back and bum as well. Mobilizing it is super important, but strengthening it is just as important too. And you probably don't really need to do any core exercises, not for your back pain anyway. And if you really, really want to address that back pain, I highly recommend that you check out my online program, the Complete Postpartum Program. I take you through 4 levels of strength and mobility exercises that specifically strengthen your back and your glutes, as well as the rest of the body. It takes you from some really gentle mobility and strength exercises to some more challenging ones. Each workout is just 10 minutes long, so it's doable. It's possible to fit into your day, even if you're a busy mum. So check that out. I'll put that in the description below. Thanks for watching.